What is up, Geeks Geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Steady, and with me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Hey, everybody.
The man behind the magic, the one and only Joe Garcia.
What's up, everybody? I'm excited. So we're going to be talking some Mandalorian. Can't wait to get into that.
And last but definitely not least, on lease from the Countdown City WrestleCast, the one and only Mike. How's it going, Mike?
I'm Mike, and this is 2020. I gotta keep it consistent. Every Geekcast related thing I do.
We're almost out of this damn year.
We're almost out of
This is the worst year I've ever lived in. Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Oh, I second that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
If you want this shirt, visit shopaew.com. I think it's the best t-shirt they have out there. And you don't have to be a wrestling fan to wear it. It speaks to everybody. So,
You know, JC, not to cross over to WrestleCast stuff, but when you do the blooper show, maybe show my beginnings from like January when I was like, yeah, 2020. And then, you know, by April, I'm like, oh, God.
I'm writing that down. Mike's depressing intros.
It's going to be a video meme, how it
You can see my
started
face
and
over
where
the
we're
air.
at now.
No, how they
and
do
how it's going.
how they do that. What do you call that? Where they have the video and it slowly shows you the progression of that said person. You know, the time lapse.
time
That's
lapse,
gonna be
yeah.
Mike. All right, 2020.
I'm just gonna quick edit. I'm gonna quick edit that stuff together like last week tonight with John Oliver. I'll figure a way out of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome show.
anyway,
Oh, man.
glad to
Welcome
be here,
back,
guys.
Mike.
Thank you.
Welcome back, sir. You joined us on our Endgame discussion.
Yeah.
You were willing to join me on our Game of Thrones 1 year later episode. That was fun, to say the least. And
Well, I'll do it for 2 and 3 years. I'll never get over that.
never get over it, man. It was still,
You know,
it still felt as bad as
I'll
ever.
say this because last week we talked about Dexter, how people are like hated the ending. They're going to come back with it and just basically retcon the last season and do it over again. Would you love to see that for Game of Thrones, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
mentioned it last week. I immediately thought of Mike and I had to ask him that question. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
love
I
me
don't mind
some
seeing that
Game of
for Dexter
Thrones.
either. That was a really good series that also
Mhm.
had stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Game of Thrones
Incredible.
unfortunately didn't end the way us fans wanted it to. That damn three-eyed raven, never forget that, man. Just like it was like a kick to the nuts, dude.
Jesus.
It wasn't even about not ending the way we wanted. They didn't. All these things they spent years building,
Yeah.
and we talked about it, but like they just
Fizzled
dropped
out.
it.
Yeah.
Vince
Yeah.
McMahon booked the last season. I've been telling you that's
Yes.
what happened. Yes. So,
Yeah, if there was any indication on how the ending of that series went, it was the Starbucks cup in
Yeah.
the shot. It was like, that's where we're headed, right there. That's a sign of what's to come.
Yeah.
However, we got a lot of very good stuff to talk about. We are going to be talking about our favorite or our sort of traditional Halloween season movies that we always kind of come back to. We're also going to do some geeky weekly updates. We're going to talk all about Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian. That's Season 2, Episode 1. Can't wait to talk about that. But first, we're going to be talking about Blumfest. Blumfest, we just did our review series with the films they released on Amazon Prime. That was incredible. If you want to see our reviews on movies like The Eye, oh gosh, what are the other ones? Evil Eye. Sorry, not
Nocturne.
The Eye. The
Lie.
Lie. Nocturne, Evil Eye, Black Box. If you want to see our reviews on those, head on over to our Facebook page or on YouTube at Countdown City Geeks to see those reviews. But Blumfest, the reason why I bring that up is because they had Blumhouse Productions had their own sort of virtual Comic-Con, if you will, just talking about future projects, future films, the whole works. And they had directors, actors, teaser trailers, like the whole 9 yards with Blumfest. This is all on YouTube if you want to check it out. And the only thing I was really interested in, not to just anything that they were doing, but their final panel was all about Halloween Kills, the second iteration of the Halloween reboot franchise that they're doing. And I will start off just talking about very briefly the panel because it was very quick. And they ended it with a teaser trailer for Halloween Kills. Absolutely loved it, but it's only 30 seconds. So this is going to lead our show tonight, talking about Halloween Kills news. Director David Gordon Green is basically talking about Halloween 2018 just being a setup film. And that took me kind of by surprise. When we saw it, it was supposed to be like, this is the ending to Laurie Strode's and Michael Myers' entire relationship. This is the end of the entire movie, the franchise, all that good stuff. Now it's just a setup. The real story now begins with Halloween Kills. David Gordon Green, director David Gordon Green, also describes Halloween Kills, again, the second part of this trilogy, as the Empire Strikes Back of Halloween. And if there's anything that gets me that gets me excited, it's him calling it the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. That's a bold statement, if you ask me. You don't just throw around that title all willy-nilly. But they're going all out. Now, the film comes out next October, the 21st of 2021, and they're bringing back a slew of characters. Tommy Doyle, Lindsay Wallace, who were the kids that Laurie Strode was babysitting the night that Michael Myers went on his rampage. They're actually coming back into this film. They're bringing back old characters. They're bringing back old scenes, sets from the original film. It's going to be huge. They're upping the ante across the board. So whatever you kind of thought about the 2018 film, I loved it. I reviewed it with Rob Eliud. It was episode 35 of our Geekcast. I just listened to it over the weekend.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I listened to it over the weekend because I wanted to make sure I had kind of the same thought process going about it. But Halloween Kills now has a teaser trailer that was released. It's very brief. It's about 30 seconds. If you want to check it out, again, head on over to our Facebook page, check out the teaser trailer, and get ready. Because I think the director, Danny McBride, they're just going all out on this franchise. They're really trying to do it justice, and they're not holding back. I think it's going to be something really special, and you don't want to miss it. They're just nailing the story, the characters, the mythos around Michael Myers. Everything is just spot on, and you're continuing with it, and I think it's going to be something incredible. So check out the teaser trailer. If you want to see the Blumfest, again, go on YouTube under Blumhouse Productions channel to see the entire panels in the entire event. But it's going to lead us into our next topic with you, gentlemen. What is your Halloween season or traditional film that you need to watch? Whether it's you, your friends, your family, what is the thing that you have to watch every Halloween season? Mine obviously is any sort of Halloween film that involves Michael Myers, but we'll go around the room here. Mike, you are the guest of honor, sir. And I know I kind of just dropped this question on you right now, so you haven't had much time to think about it. But you must have a movie or a franchise you just always come back to around Halloween. What is that?
I like to get scared around Halloween, so definitely From Justin to Kelly. If you remember that movie.
Oh God!
Wow.
Sorry, you didn't give me much time, but I was like, "What's a bad movie that I can throw in there?"
You could have said Glitter. That's pretty scary. Yeah. So.
Or Geely, or what was it? Yeah.
Geely!
Geely. Oh man.
So the funny thing is, I'm not really a big horror movie person in general.
Damn. All right.
But funnily enough, with Halloween, I do like to try and watch The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Mike took
Nice.
mine. Showing my age here, but
So
yeah.
not a scary movie per se, but just that. I mean, it's just a fun. I've always liked the Peanuts specials and holiday stuff. So yeah, never been really big in horror movies in general. Like I'll watch them, but nothing that I consistently come back to as much as that. Although Sleepy Hollow is a good one.
There's a good one.
Kind of a weird genre there, but yeah.
No, I like it. I like it. JC, you kind of said Mike spoiled yours, but go ahead. You got anything else?
No, I mean, Mike and I went to high school together. We grew up seeing that on network TV. So it was 2020 sucks because it was on network TV this year. But thank God I have Apple TV Plus. I was able to watch it, show the kids. But that's enjoyable as a kid. It's Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown's screwing up his ghost costume. He's got holes everywhere. It didn't look like a ghost. It's classic. As far as the horror genre, I'm not big into horror, but the ones I do enjoy are the Saw series, which my wife really got me into. We just watched them all back to back, and it seemed like every year you had a new one every Halloween, and it's such a crazy story.
How long is that back to back? There's like 8 movies now?
Yeah.
8 now, if you count
Probably.
Jigsaw, and then Spiral, which we don't know when that's coming out anymore. Everything's getting delayed till 5 years from now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there's that one, and then the other series I like, I guess you can classify it as horror, and it's funny because it's around election season anyway, is The Purge. I really enjoy the Purge series. I love that alternate universe feel to it. The TV series is great. It's a shame the pandemic happened because they were going to work on a 3rd season and they had so much built up. So maybe that'll be a Netflix thing. Who knows? But
I thought you were about to say too bad for the pandemic because they're going to start doing the Purge for real.
Oh man.
that kind of turned into that, right? Although people have joked like post-election, everybody prepare for the Purge. But
Let's see what happens this week. So yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but I think those kind of films, they're more like, I guess, I don't know if you call them gore fest, but they make you think per se. And The Purge is more of like that alternate reality kind of thing, which, the funny part is that we have a candidate for president whose campaign slogan is the same as a tagline for the Purge election year, "Keep America Great." So, do with that what you will. But those are the kind of the horror franchises I enjoy. So
There you go. And Joe, over to you, sir. What's your traditional Halloween season go-to franchise or films?
Well, I got a couple. The one that I really always watch around this time of year is going to be the original Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2. I don't watch the remake or the reboot. Could do without that one. I always go back and watch American Werewolf from London. The wife actually likes Ginger Snaps, so we watch that one too. Don't know if you ever seen that one, but it's a good movie, man. If you check it out and watch it, it's some people really don't know. It's one of those little known horror treasures. It's about a werewolf, but it's kind of a female take on it. So my wife enjoyed it.
There you go.
I kind of showed it to her. She's like, "Oh, I like this movie." So now we watch it every year. I always watch Silver Bullet with my son, my 13-year-old. I started watching it with him way back when, and he asked me one time, "What are you watching?" He sat down and watched it, and now every year we watch it together. So
There you go. Father-son tradition. I like it.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before we started recording, but I showed my kids Casper for the first time. And of course, we know Ghostbusters Afterlife got delayed, but there's one trio of entities that the Ghostbusters cannot beat because Dan Aykroyd, I forgot, had a cameo in Casper.
Yes.
And Stretch, Stinky, and Fatso, Dan Aykroyd could not handle it in a full garb. Yes, Ted's showing off his.
I'll get him.
You made that joke earlier, and I was trying to remember what.
I'll get him.
Yeah, they really enjoyed Casper. Getting to see that, just showing that to a new audience, and they were curious about it because that commercial comes on where Casper's eating popcorn. He's like, "Am I chewing too loud?" And they love that, so I had to show them the original movie. Yeah, so
That's awesome.
Speaking of entities, one of the series that I like to watch during this time of year too is Insidious. I always love that genre.
Yeah.
Really well done. So I love watching that one.
That's awesome, man. I will ask you about because you and I have talked about An American Werewolf in London before, and you said you loved the transformation into the werewolf that you thought that was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
I would say on par with that, or I kind of like it a little bit better, is the werewolf transformation in Monster Squad, a film
okay.
that really doesn't get a whole lot of
I have the DVD on that one.
praise for its special effects and all that. But I will always remember watching that dude turn into a werewolf and how like the skin would bubble and just even the style of the wolf. It was just different. It's what a man wolf probably would look like, as opposed to just a human straight turning into a giant wolf in American Werewolf in London or some other films that we've seen. I think if you saw like a half man, half wolf hybrid, it would look more like what they did in Monster Squad. And I just love the way they did that.
That scene of him transforming scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Even more than him in final werewolf mode.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love that movie.
The transformation is always much more gross in like just about every movie.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
So. And you can remember it vividly because it was one of the first parts of that movie that really freaked you out. The guy's in a phone booth, don't have those anymore, but he's calling the police. You need to lock me up.
Yeah.
You need to stop me. And the police are like, this is a prank, or I forget what they're saying to him. But you hear him screaming over the phone, and then they cut to him, and like I mentioned, his skin's bubbling, the hair's growing, and of course his face is hidden and all that for a good time being. But after he kind of is past the midway point of his transformation, then he starts yelling at the cops, "You're all dead. You're all dead." And he's like spewing spit and saliva, and oh my God, it was just such a very well thought out scene, that entire transformation. So Monster Squad, I don't watch it enough. I watch it every few years. But
right now I was like, man, I gotta go watch that.
Yeah. If there's anything they should remake, it would be a new Monster Squad film, and maybe just add a little bit more comedy to it. But you would have to do the monsters really well.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Universal's has been trying to like get a monster universe going, and none of the movies take off. Like the Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Oh God!
I just thought of something. Okay, so what if Monster Squad is the Avengers of the monster universe? You have Dracula, you have the Mummy movie, and then after all those like single films, you have the Monster Squad where all the monsters come together and the kids have to like battle them. So there you go.
Well, I would like that, but that's a classic. And if you like redo that, like Total Recall, and it's not a better version, then
you gotta build it up, that classic thing. I mean, I think they've been working towards Godzilla vs. King Kong. That's kind of been the plan with Skull Island and everything. So you got to build up to it, to build up to it.
Don't go the DC route of rushing it, right?
Exactly. Don't let the studio get involved. That's what it is.
Well, the issue that Universal has with all these iconic monster movies is that they're old and outdated. What they need is a fresh take. They need a new story, and they need to take it from a different perspective. I think what they can do is be true to the source material, but kind of give it a little bit of a modern flair, but actually do justice and have every monster have his own movie, but make cameos from the other monsters in the movies and try to connect the films. I think if they do something of that nature, it'll probably go over a lot better than them trying to force it upon people.
Yeah.
Case in point, Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler, I thought was like extremely well done. That's the way you modernize a monster movie. They set it in New Orleans. Dracula was like, kind of getting caught up with the times and all that, and trying to figure out how society is today. And the reason why I also think that was really well done is because they added to the legend of Dracula. They gave him a whole origin story, well thought out, something that I hadn't been privy to before. So that's just one way you do it extremely well. Like Dracula 2000, that was bringing Dracula into the 21st century. And it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't over the top. It was just well-grounded, well thought out, solid story. I need to watch that again. They tried to do a sequel. I think the sequel wasn't as spectacular as the others.
No.
So there you go.
Or maybe like, what was it, the first 2 episodes of BBC Dracula?
No.
Dude,
You watched that?
dude. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was good
That's
in
not good
that
stuff.
kind of last episode.
Yeah.
I didn't
get modern, and it just kind of really went off the rails a bit. But yeah,
Yeah, it fizzled out from there. But no, you're completely right. Everything that started in that show was spectacular.
Yeah.
The death scenes, everything was extremely well thought out. It was great.
Keanu Reeves' character from the Bram Stoker movie. His character in the book is Jason.
I don't know.
Is it Harker or Hark?
Can't remember.
I don't know. But in the BBC one, he's sick, and that whole thing they played out with him trying to figure out what was wrong with him was really cool.
I'm surprised
go.
nobody said their go-to movie for Halloween is Twilight.
So you're off the podcast for that joke.
Sorry to all of our Twilight fans.
If I need a good laugh around Halloween, I will watch Young Frankenstein.
Oh,
there you
God.
go.
That's,
There you go.
Yeah.
that's the new Batman's favorite series he was in, man.
Yeah.
He loves that. He loves talking about it.
Yeah. I got burned out on that damn Twilight because my wife watched it so much and my daughter loves it now. So I'm just like, I'm done. I don't even want to hear the music, man. As soon as I hear that one little tone coming through, I'm out. I'm running for the hills, dude.
There you go. I'll go back to just my traditional movies, Halloween, the original, and then we rewatched Halloween 2018, and I had not seen it in over a year, so I really wanted to get back to it and just go through all my thoughts again. What was I thinking when I watched this? What was I expecting when this scene happened? Stuff like that, and it still holds up, man. It's still so good. My son watched it with me. He's 13 now, but he watched it with me when he was 11, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad for kind of those younger teens, I think. And I was really when we reviewed the movie, we did it like right after we had seen it, so it didn't give me a lot of time to do a ton of research about it. Come to find out that Andrew Schultz, who's hilarious comedian. I don't know if you guys watch Andrew Schultz do anything, but Andrew Schultz was in a deleted scene where he is a police officer and he is arresting the boyfriend of the granddaughter, or they're kind of going through a thing. The boyfriend of the granddaughter, because he's just a douchebag and he was acting like a dick to the cops. So they're like, all right, buddy, you're going to jail. And so they arrest him and take him away. But Andrew Schultz got cut. He wasn't in any other scene, but poor guy. He was actually pretty disappointed, and he expressed his disappointment on Twitter when he found out he was cut from the movie. The other interesting thing I found out is that they had a alternate ending, and I was shocked because I thought the entire film was well thought out, great story, lots of detail, but the original ending, which they completely changed for very good reasons, by the way, was that Michael Myers, spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't seen the movie, but Michael Myers shows up to Laurie Strode's property, aka the Fortress is what I'll call it, and him and Laurie just have it out in the front of the property. She's in this complete fortress, but for whatever reason, she goes outside, I think because he's about to like murder somebody else. And they just start
commercial thing here, like, are you crazy? That's why behind the chainsaw is smart. Yeah.
Well, she has like a basement full of guns and weapons, and the entire thing is locked down. But she's
in a running car. Yeah.
So they start fighting outside, and the battle doesn't last very long, a couple of minutes. and she gets help from her daughter who shoots Michael with a crossbow, like in the shoulder, the back, or something. And then the granddaughter, I think, also like stabs him. And then the three of them take off, but he's alive, and they just leave him, and like that's the end of the movie. And so they probably tested it with audiences, and the audiences were like, "That's such crap. What is this?" There's like lackluster ending that they put together. So if you watch the actual movie, there's like a whole nother 30 minutes of her like tactically going room by room with her shotgun. She has door shutters on all the rooms, so after she clears a room, she closes them. You know, there's a struggle between the two of them in the very beginning when he gets to the house. All of this great stuff was never in the original story, and I'm shocked about that. So I'm so glad they changed it. Just goes to show you that testing movies with audiences does in fact work when you do it right.
You kind of have that. I mean, Dodgeball did that. The original ending was right where before it gets eliminated, that's how the movie cuts off. They tested it. It was shit. So they reshot it where he ends up winning on the sudden death thing, and then they had to reshoot that. The Butterfly Effect shot like 5 or 6 endings, and of those, honestly, if you watch the director's cut, it's so much better than what we got in theaters. I think the way the director cut it, the added storyline of it, and that ending was way better. It was just very dark for a theatrical release, I think, but it was a lot better of an ending. So,
Nice.
Okay, I think I remember hearing about what the special.
I have it on DVD. Basically, the original ending is, of course, he first meets Amy Smart's character, and he's a complete dick, so she doesn't want to be near him. She moves away. What he learns in the director's cut, and they spliced this in, is that his mom had 2 miscarriages prior to him, and a lot of them were dealing with the same mental issues with the whole going back in time and changing things. What he realizes the best thing for him is if he never lives. So he goes back to when he's being born, and he chokes himself with his umbilical cord and takes his own life. And then everyone has a happy life. His mom remarries, and everyone has a better life because he never existed.
What a shitty ending.
No, I liked it, but the thing is, they add scenes to the director's cut that make sense, and I thought it was better than what we had before.
It's the antithesis of the what's the Christmas one? It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's you gotta kind of watch it, but it makes sense, and I think I enjoyed that better. But they shot like so many different endings. Even the original one where he sees her and walks away. There's one where they see each other and talk to each other, and there's like 4 or 5 different endings on that DVD.
It makes sense with that kind of movie. I can see.
Yeah, so horror movies, you never know how to end them.
You know, speaking of horror movies, the only horror movie that really scared my wife, I have to say, probably left her with a fright for quite some time, was the Mothman Prophecies. And I always asked her, I was like,
really?
Why did this movie freak you out so much? She's like, I don't know. There was something about that movie that just freaked her the hell out, dude. I don't know what it was.
Gear, right?
Yeah. I don't know what it I don't know what it was, dude. She just said that movie freaked her out, you know?
It's because it's very similar to Lechuza. That's why.
Possibly, man.
Might be it. I'm not going to touch La Llorona. Fuck that.
If they ever make a movie based on Lechuza, I am not watching it. I'm telling you right now.
No, I ain't touching that.
Why not?
Nope.
Yeah.
Why not? You're afraid? You're scared? Don't be scared.
Are the ones that they redid in like the mid 2000s not connected to all this? Like, was it 2007 or something like that?
The Halloween.
Halloween.
The H2O.
No. The 2007 and 2009, I guess those are Rob Zombie's remake.
Okay.
Now and as well as the 90s ones or the early 2000s, like H2O and Resurrection, those were a reboot from Halloween's 1 and 2. So it was Halloween 1, 2, and then H2O, and then Resurrection. There's actually been 5 Halloween timelines. separate timelines, and the one that we're on right now just is a big bridge from Halloween 1. So nothing after Halloween 1 happens until the 2018 film. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Just real quick, and
yeah.
you'll know because one of my favorite Boy Meets World episodes is with Harley's younger sister, Teresa Kiner, which I found out this year apparently like went on to become a big horror movie actress and was in, I guess, the Rob Zombie ones. What was her name? Danielle.
Ooh, Danielle.
I think it's Danielle Harris.
Danielle Harris, yeah. She was a star of Halloween's 4 and 5. She played Laurie Strode's daughter because Laurie...
She's in this timeline of things?
So she's not, no. She's not in this timeline. She's in the original timeline. Yeah. Where they kill Laurie Strode in 4 off screen. She dies in a car accident, but her daughter goes on to be Jason Michael's niece, and so he goes after her, and they have this telepathic connection. And then chapter 6, it's all based on a cult.
Teddy's getting pissed off.
Oh God!
Sorry, I just brought it up because I just found that out this past year with all the quarantine time, but I didn't know that.
What was that Halloween? Yeah. What was the Halloween where it was nothing but dealing with the Celtic side of things?
Don't bring it up.
That was horrible, man. I was like,
that rhymes one.
That's what happens when you think too much.
That was awful.
When you overthink a story. Yeah, it's horrible. Halloween 6, no matter what anybody says, Halloween 6 that came out in the 90s is the worst Halloween film. It's not Rob Zombie's. It's not 4 or 5. It's not even Resurrection. I would gladly take Busta Rhymes karate kicking Michael Myers through a window than the craziness that ensued in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. I don't want to get into it. Yeah.
So
it was bad.
All right.
Now to happier things before Ted blows a gasket here. So
yeah. I also learned some new things about Halloween 6 that I'll talk about at a later time, but they're not appropriate right now. Lastly, I'll say, other than Halloween, our 2 other go-tos: A Nightmare Before Christmas, because the wife loves it, and now my daughter loves it too. And then Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus
loves that
is still good, man. That movie holds up just fine.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with the sequel. Bette Midler's ready. Sarah Jessica Parker's ready. All the actors are ready to go. They're just waiting on the studio. They've gone together to do some promotional things recently that are going to be seen pretty soon, but they're just waiting. I think the story's done. The actors are ready. They're just waiting for production to start, and they're not sure when that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the Apple lady ready?
Yes. Oh man. All right. So that was our topic on Halloween season traditional films that we watch, our family watch, all that good stuff. Let us know what you guys watch out there. What are your favorite go-to films for the Halloween season? We want to know. Comment below on this video. Just some geeky weekly headlines right now. Some kind of quick notes. Let's see here. HBO Max has now added the first.
Oh, Chappelle Show? No, we're not talking about that. Okay, sorry.
Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
That's actually a good thing to call out. But HBO Max has added seasons. The first 3 seasons of Young Justice, as well as the first 2 seasons of Titans. So if you're waiting to get caught up before season 3 of Titans returns, or Young Justice very soon, then now's your chance. Go check it out, HBO Max. And Stargirl will be added to the streaming service on December 1st. Final geeky weekly headline is Superman and Lois has a premiere date of February 23rd. Go ahead, JC. Let it flap in the wind.
They just apparently kicked Supergirl off the air with them, so now they're
She'll make a cameo on some level. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. I think we
Mhm.
might we might see her a couple of the other actors in the future, but nothing really solid right now.
Are we gonna get
Yeah.
a return
Lots
of
of
Terry
news.
Hatcher?
I'm not going to argue with that.
I'll watch.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Man, she was so hot in Lois
a
and
lot
Clark,
of-
dude.
Hell yeah, she was.
Look, JC's over there
Lots of
staying
rumors
quiet.
going around about the Green Lantern show that's headed to HBO Max. Nothing that I'm ready to talk about yet. I'm just kind of calling it out for probably next week or something like that. We'll get into it a little bit more because the rumors are flying everywhere about changing identities, genders, nationalities of some of the characters. So nothing to talk about as of yet. Just something to kind of highlight later on.
What was that, Mike?
Go woke, get broke. You know what they say.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Finally, let's get into the reason why we're all here today. We can finally say that The Mandalorian is back to releasing new episodes on Disney Plus, and oh my god, I will just start out with this is some of the best content talking about Chapter 9 right now that Star Wars has put out in years. I'm including the sequel trilogy in that. Just keep it simple, keep it entertaining, and we're going to talk all
Excited.
about it right now. So we're going to get into it. Season 2, Episode 1, also known as Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian. Lots of great stuff to talk about. A ton of Easter eggs thrown into this thing. And we'll try to just cover as many topics, as many people, characters, past, objects, whatever, as possible, because there's just so many things to talk about. It would take probably over an hour to do it. Let's just start with the beginning. Mando, the child, I gotta say that, or else JC bites my head off, are in this town. Could be something that we've seen from animated series such as Rebels or the Clone Wars. One of those things. Lots of graffiti. So I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, what are some of the things that you saw on the walls of this town in the graffiti art sprayed? Anything in particular? Because I have a couple of things I wanted
Looked
to call
like I
out.
saw a C-3PO, a droid. I saw.
Yeah, that was the
Very
big
nice.
one, I think.
Yeah, and
Very
then
nice.
and it looked like it was cool because when the way they did it, it was almost as if they were telling a story with this graffiti, because they even have
Almost
like the
hieroglyphics
stormtroopers
kind of thing, or
Yeah. It was interesting. As they panned and they were slowly looking, I'm like, hey, those are droids. That's C-3PO. So I thought that was cool.
That was very cool. I like that. A couple of different types of stormtroopers that we
Yeah.
saw on the walls sprayed.
Yeah.
And then I even saw what looked like Vader's mask a couple of times.
Yeah.
That triangular shape, bottom half of his face
Right.
that we get a lot. Mike, anything that you saw or want to call out in the graffiti?
No, I mean those were some of the main ones that I noticed off. Was the C-3PO, I think, was the first one kind of just bold out there, but then like you said, different stormtrooper ones, and droids. Yeah, that's kind of what I remember seeing.
JC, anything else you might have
since you
seen?
called out. I mean, I might have missed a lot of that because I was trying to get the kids to settle the hell down as we were eating lunch at the time. I had the day
Not now,
off.
damn it.
My wife took a day off for a mental health day because I think teachers really need that right now. Mike, if you haven't taken one yet, I know you're getting election day kind of off, but so when my daughter got a chance to get lunch, we all went down to watch together, and sometimes it's a pain just to get them to settle down a bit. So I might have missed a few things there at the beginning. So I kind of started getting into it more seriously when they actually went into the fighting arena. That's kind of where I picked into it, catching everything from there. So yeah.
Did you
Which
catch
is a
the
great-
creatures? I want to know what those creatures were. When he's walking, Mando's walking with the child, and you just see a
Ooh,
bunch
yeah,
of red
yeah,
eyes.
Red eyes.
Yeah,
that was
those were
weird.
new.
Yeah,
That was kind of cool.
that
Yeah.
was cool.
I thought I saw a video about it, where they had mentioned it. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but that was kind of a big thing as he was walking around. I think it was from one of the cartoon series. I heard that they were from, but I have to go back and check on that.
Interesting.
Okay.
I don't know what those would be. There is. I take it back. There is. I don't know what season it is of Rebels, where there's creatures that are very sensitive to light, so they stay in the shadows a lot, and they were sort of like attack hounds for the Empire at the time. I believe it was the Empire that was using them. No, it was an abandoned cargo hold or a hangar, and they were wondering like, where's everybody at? It might have been an Empire hangar or something like that, completely just abandoned. And there was creatures that were very sensitive to light, and the crew, Ezra and all them, had to escape with whatever they were looking for, and stay away from these creatures that would again only attack in the light. So maybe one of those. I gotta go back and figure out what those were called, but that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah, well, because spray painting is, I mean, I haven't seen all the different cartoon series, but spray painting and the graffiti is from one of those two, right? Like
Yes,
Rebels or something like that.
Rebels, I
Rebels.
believe. Yeah.
There is a town where there's like heavy graffiti everywhere, and
Right.
I should have looked it up and got the name. We've talked about it in the past. I'll have to go back and look for it. But JC called out the fight scene between the Gamorreans, and this underground fight leader is actually played by John Leguizamo. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
I
it
didn't
either.
know
That's all the
that.
credits. That's pretty
Right.
cool. Yeah.
So many more Latinos in the Star Wars universe in the last couple of years than before.
Love it.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Definitely good.
So he gives away that there is a Mandalorian on Tatooine, which everybody's eyes probably lit up, got all bright, and thought, "What is he talking about? You know who? The one and only Boba Fett." So that was a great way to really just start off this entire episode. I was like, "Oh my god, they're going pretty quick here. This is much quicker than the first season." So
even before that, the fighting itself, when he actually fought in that arena, you could tell he's adapted more to using his armor to his benefit. You know, he's not afraid to. You realize that he's using his armor to deflect punches to head, but he's using it to his advantage. Like blasters don't even phase him anymore. So I thought that was very well choreographed, and they don't really say how much time has passed since the end of season 1, but they're showing that he's adapted to that. He's adapted his fighting style to use that to his benefit, and I thought that was really cool little detail to start off with.
Yeah, because if you see in that fighting scene, when he got punched, his head went back, but then when that guy was going to punch him again, he put his head forward because he knew it wasn't going to hurt him. It was going to hurt the guy attacking him. So that was a really good observation there, JC.
I love that you called that out, because the first thing I thought about was that move, using your head as a shield. And the first time I ever saw something like that in a movie, I don't know the name of it, but it was a movie about, I believe, an Irish boxer. And he had to go up against this other, like, it was like street boxing. It wasn't like big time
bare knuckle or something.
HBO boxing. Yeah. It was just bare knuckle, and some I want to say it was Ireland. I don't know for sure, but part of it, he had this mentor who turned on him eventually. But that was one of the things they would say. Your skull is the strongest bone in the body. Apparently, I don't know if it's true or not. And so that was a move. Someone would take a jab at you. You would just put your head down and you break the guy's hand completely if he was punching hard enough. And so I was like, wow, all right.
That's something I remember hearing when we were younger, that like, if you're going to fight, I remember hearing something about that. That's funny.
Yeah,
just don't do it playing football. That's no.
It's all fun and games until you get a concussion from doing that.
Yeah.
There you go, man. So we're headed to Tatooine after Mando makes short work of these guys, and saw a couple of species that we've seen before, some Twi'leks, the same species that Darth Maul is. I forget the name of that guy, but yeah, very cool stuff. A lot in a very little amount of time. Let's see here. So we head back to Tatooine. Very exciting, and so many Easter eggs right off the bat. We land in this hangar. We have this woman, same character from the season 1. Mando's coming around to droids.
Yeah.
Who would have
That's
thought?
right.
A little bit of an arc for him.
Mhm.
I thought it was pretty funny. I like the way this woman, I keep forgetting her name, she treats the droids like they're just garbage. And speaking of which, one of them happens to be Anakin's old R5. Could it be the actual one from A New Hope so many years ago? Just can't get good help these days anymore. You know what I'm saying? That was a
No.
pretty great Easter egg.
Yeah, that was that R5 unit.
They've done a good job with Tatooine with just calling back to that original trilogy. This one especially taking place after Return of the Jedi. So I remember the excitement in season 1 when they first went there, looking at each other. Oh my God, they're in Tatooine. So yeah, they're doing a good job with that. I'm curious to see what else they bring out in this.
Yeah. Well, I lost my shit when I saw Marshall on that bike that was made out of a pod racer. That was, to me, like a big throwback.
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah, definitely. That was pretty cool.
Which, fans are speculating, is it Anakin's actual pod racer? There are some differences, some minor ones.
The color,
but the design, the color, some of the parts look like they're different sizes, but just the overall design of that engine is very spot on.
Yeah.
And if you remember how different the rest of the pod racers looked, just to find that one that looks so closely to Anakin's, you just have to imagine that it could be his.
Yeah.
It's possible, or at least the design of it, because as we know, he sold his racer. So, it's possible. Pod racing was a big thing on Tatooine. Obviously he wasn't the only one, but that engine design makes the most sense to turn that into a speeder just because it's so thin and lightweight. It makes the most sense.
Yeah, and I think it's there. Like, I don't think it has to be necessarily, but I think it's just there to make people do exactly this, to go, oh yeah, pod racing. Is it Annie's? Was it his? And it served its purpose, and it was a nice little Easter egg callback to it.
Yep.
Speaking of callbacks, we head to Mos Pelgo, where Cobb Vanth is. And Mos Pelgo, I completely forgot about this, but it was actually a location that was called out in the old Knights of the Old Republic video game. So I'm like, dude, that's a deep cut. That's going way back. So that's fantastic. So many little details, so many well thought out plans and callbacks just in this episode. Just so many to call back from.
Especially seeing that crate dragon. We only saw the skull or the skeleton of one. We've never seen a live one.
Yeah.
Well, never seen a live one in any live action. But again, crate dragons were in KOTOR.
Yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic. And I forgot to mention the Gamorreans, when they fought, their blades would do this really brief flash. And if you've ever played the fighting style of the Knights of the Old Republic games, anytime you were fighting, and it's also one of those Final Fantasy type formats where
turn-based games.
Turn-based, there you go.
Yeah.
So whenever your characters would, make an attack or whatever, those weapons would just flash, just like they did with the Gamorreans. So since there's just so many little details that are callbacks, I'm saying that's also not an accident that those weapons were doing that. I think that's also a Knights of the Old Republic callback.
I go with it. It makes sense. They did it for a reason. Someone had to, do that special effect to them. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Timothy Oliphant, we finally get introduced. Not finally. Who knew he was going to show up in the first episode? But let's go around here. Joe, what did you think of Timothy Oliphant in this episode?
Oh man, I think he needed to fill out that Boba Fett armor a little bit more, dude.
He's a skinny guy.
He was skinny, super skinny, man. But he's a great actor, dude. I think he played the part of the Marshal to perfection, And it was interesting too, because you had that quick introduction to the Mandalorian and the Marshal, and he's like, "Come over here and have a drink with me." And he's thinking he really found another Mandalorian, and then as soon as he sits down and takes off his helmet, he's like, "This dude isn't a real Mandalorian. Give me the
Completely blows
armor
away.
now, or I'm gonna take it off
Yeah.
of you." And they're gonna have a standoff, and then that's when they get interrupted by the crate dragon coming through the town, and there goes the adventure. But I thought it was a great introduction, that whole little scene there, because
It's hilarious.
it's hilarious because
Yeah.
he comes into the bar and he's like, "I'm looking for another Mandalorian," and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what?" "Oh, you mean the Marshal?"
What does he look like? No,
right
before
there.
that, what does he look like?
"Oh yeah." He's
Looks
saying,
like
"What's
me.
He looks like me." And
He
he's
goes,
like,
how do I
"Oh."
explain this? He looks like me. I'm wearing the damn armor. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're understanding more and more how rare a Mandalorian is. To see
Pretty
one in
much.
person, and some of these species that they haven't really come into contact with one, they don't know what he's talking about. Like the barkeeper, the barkeep. So I thought that was hilarious. He's like, "Oh, you mean the Marshal?"
Not only that, but the line where he says him and Cobb are going back and forth, and he's like, "We're gonna do this now." He goes, "Yeah, we're gonna do this now." And he
Front of
goes,
the
"You gonna
kid.
do this in front of the child?" He goes, "He's seen worse."
He did, because he closed his little thing his little egg that he rides in as soon as he saw him activate
Such a
the
great-
whispering birds.
such
He's
a
like,
great
boom. So he's
Such
getting,
a good line. Oh my god, this
Yeah.
episode is fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
But JC
How
was
about you?
saying,
I love the
JC,
Marshall showed up. I was like, there's no way this Boba's too damn skinny. But to see that it was him,
Yeah.
and I was like immediately, oh, this is gonna be fun. I love that actor. I mean, he was really good in Snowden. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff. The the Girl Next Door. Live Free and
Scream
Die
2.
Hard.
Yeah.
Scream 2. He's had a
he's
hell of a
been
run.
everywhere, dude. Everywhere.
He's had a hell of a filmography,
No.
So to see him in this was pretty cool, and he seems like the kind of guy who would, he just found some old Mandalorian armor. Is like, all right, this made me look badass to protect this town, and it was like that whole Wild West. Throws the sheriff badge on, and he's the one protecting these parts, and
Yeah.
it was really cool to see him being the guy to do that.
That was awesome.
I like the little story they showed too, the inclusion of how he
Yes.
got the armor.
Yeah,
That
Right,
was a
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Even if it was done as a flashback scene, but it just tied everything together so well.
it really did. The town being invaded and him finding that armor, which we talked about the dragon they're trying to beat, and how they an abandoned Sarlacc pit cave, and it's like, well, there's never been one abandoned. Well, there is if you eat the Sarlacc. I'm like, how big is this fucking thing?
And not only that,
it's
but
crazy.
who knew the
Yeah.
Sarlaccs had a
Yeah.
freaking cave? I thought they just
Yeah.
lived in a pit.
It's insane. So you're wondering how that armor survived. I guess that's gonna be the big mystery of the season.
Mhm.
And of all people, the Jawas, of course, they end up with it. They find everything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so yeah.
Mike, what did you think of Oliphant in this episode?
Oh yeah, I love the guy too. And just, I mean, we've all kind of talked about it, but when he turns around, you see that shadow for a second, and you can kind of tell it's the Boba Fett armor. But then you see him, it's like, oh, this is cosplay Boba Fett. It just doesn't look right. It's a love that. And you're like, okay, there's, you even before he takes his helmet off, you're like, okay, this is not quite right. Something clearly.
It's half, but he
yeah.
ran out of his budget. He couldn't do the rest of it, so it's just the top half, right?
So, but yeah, no, he's a great actor, and I saw some people talking about it's almost kind of a different character for him, because he's usually a very sarcastic, tending to be on almost the the bad side, but he was kind of the good guy, just trying to save his town and
Yeah.
doing what he could. It was a really good character and story for him.
I also I love how you guys mentioned it didn't fit. It was like cosplay, and I'm thinking like, why is it so odd? I guess because he's a much taller individual than the original Fett.
It's not armor that fits him.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like
just
a
real
crop
skinny.
top. It goes like only
Yeah.
halfway down his torso. That was part of it. I love the banter between the two of them. I was like, how is this story gonna go forward if Mando's just gonna kill him right here?
Take him,
This is
yeah.
not- But I also love the flashback because they covered what another system was doing, or another planet how it was doing when the second Death Star. Sorry, the first.
Second.
That was
No, it was the
second one.
second.
Wait a minute.
It was the second.
Second one.
Okay, this is
Or
gonna
I'll
be
tell
weird.
you why in a second. Yeah.
This is gonna be weird because I think he does say the second one,
He does.
Yeah.
right?
He does say the second one. Yeah.
he said
but wait, the news coverage of the Death Star blowing up. There's some text below the video of the Death Star exploding, and actually, the Death Star didn't even look like the second one. But I'll just keep going here. So in the flashback, there's text in Arbesh under the video, and the text reads, "Little does Luke know that the Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armored space station, even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star." If that sounds familiar to you, because that's the actual crawl before episode 6. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi, yeah.
Yeah. So that was what was playing below the actual video footage of the Death Star blowing up. And also Cobb Vanth in the flashback as he runs out of that cantina and he kind of hops around a speeder. That is actually another callback to A New Hope. That speeder is the same design of another one from A New Hope. So a lot of callbacks. So it's interesting that that's what the text was, even though he was telling Mando, I'm talking about the second one, not the first. So confusing.
The second one makes the most sense though, because there's no way he comes across that armor if it was the first Death Star. Because as far as we know, Boba Fett is dead after Return of the Jedi, so it has to be the second one. I
think the text was just meant to be an Easter egg, because I saw a video of that, and I don't think they ever expected anyone to take the time to translate it, but they should have known. Star Wars fans are going to do that.
Freaking pandemic, right? We're going to find.
We have a lot of time on our hands.
I mean, it was a new station. They do it here. You recycle old footage if it's the same damn thing over and over again, So, I mean, yeah.
When you have a newspaper and you read some of the articles, they have nothing to do with anything. They're just random text and stuff. It's just like that.
Just recycle old footage. It's easier. Go to the archives. Yeah. So.
I love this episode because we immediately go from a Western to either a couple of favorite monster movies of mine. It either turns into a Tremors film, which I love Tremors. Why is Kevin Bacon somewhere back here, man?
You know what? He would have been a perfect cameo in this episode.
Right? But incredible.
Or something, yeah.
There you go. Or even Dune.
Yeah, I can see that. Dune.
Yeah, even Dune. So, yeah, this turns into just such a fun episode for The Mandalorian. And I'll take it one step further. We'll get into sort of the later on into this episode, the way that they take down the Krayt Dragon is by trying to blow it up from the belly. Again, another Knights of the Old Republic callback. That was exactly how you defeated the Krayt Dragon in the Knights of the Republic. He had to blow charges as he was crawling out. He had some big legs. He looked more like a dragon in that one. And then, more importantly, putting the bombs into his digestive system to kill him. What Mando did at the last second reminded me a lot of Jaws. It reminded me a lot of just that air tank sticking out of the side of Jaws' mouth. And just him, shooting his rifle at it. I'm like, oh my God, this is fun. I'm just getting so many references and callbacks.
If you're too young to see Jaws and you played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that's how you beat some of the monsters in the desert. You had to throw a bomb, they swallow it, blow them up, and hit them with the sword. So there's your reference right there for the newer.
Or Drax from Guardians 2.
Oh, God.
So Mando was just in there like, ah!
Or if you want to go even further back than that, he's almost like Jonah getting eaten by the whale,
Hey, there you are, man. There you are. Monstro, Pinocchio.
There you go. Pinocchio.
So many references here.
Yeah, I just loved it. So many great surprises. Just when you thought like this crate dragon, they're having some sort of good strategies and whatnot, he just starts spewing acid at everyone. And I'm like,
melts
oh my
them.
god, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's just the surprises. They just keep coming. I loved it. Such
And
a
he
fun
was
episode.
smart too. The
How about
dragon
them-
was smart because not only did he use the acid as right away, he used the acid when he felt he was in danger. He used it as a
Yeah.
diversionary tactic to kind of throw them off. Then he comes at the top of the mountain to get a better view, and then it just starts picking them off even more. I'm like, damn.
That was some StarCraft 2 shit.
Yeah.
Just like Nidus colonies to be able to play that game. Even before that, planning it, working with the Tusken Raiders, who up to this point, we're just thinking of them as murderous
Yeah.
assholes.
Savages.
I mean, savages, yeah. Sniping
Savages.
people in pod races, killing, even in the original trilogy on A New Hope, but him communicating with them, planning everything, it's a whole different side, a whole new society, which, as I understand it, they basically came up with their own sign language for these scenes with the Tusken Raiders. Like they just developed it on the fly and just worked with it. But that was interesting to me. They kind of, for lack of a better term, humanized these raiders. Like, they have to conquer, maybe they're going to work more with some of the people there, in tandem and not, raid, if you will. So I thought that was really cool to show them working together with the citizens of that town and how to beat this monster. They had a common enemy.
You know what?
Really cool.
Another interesting fact to this whole thing is that I think the citizens of the town are starting. Well, when you start watching it, they kind of understand that the Tusken Raiders are just a lot like them. They're just here trying to survive, just like they are. So maybe they, maybe we see more of these episodes progress, and we maybe come back and see this town again. Maybe we'll see them being more open to communicate with the Raiders, Tusken Raiders. Instead of treating them like savages, they were treating them like, a brother in arms, because they were fighting with, alongside one another. So it seems like this is going to be a unique relationship between these Tusken Raiders and the townsfolk, because they said the Tusken Raiders are, raiders. They go and raid villages and whatever, but at the end of the day, they're people of their word. So if they say they're not going to ever touch this town again, or raise a rifle, or shoot or pillage it, unless the truce is broken, that says a lot about who they are as a people.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
They have honor.
that whole brother in arms thing, it takes a while, right?
Yeah.
The people of Mos Pelgo aren't really on board with this, right? When they're told they're going to be fighting this crate alongside them. And I'm not going to remember it. But I'm getting a very familiar beat from another film, and it's not going to come to me right now. But I feel like this is pulling from a very familiar storyline where you have these two factions coming together to defeat a common enemy.
You know what it reminded me of a little bit? Harken back
X-Men?
to the 80s.
X-Men United? X2?
No, harken back to the 80s A-Team, dude.
Yeah.
Ooh,
the
maybe.
A-Team, the series from the 80s. Going way back, where they would come back and they would help the townspeople, try to defeat, whoever else was trying to do harm to them. And the A-Team would always create some type of explosive charges or lay some booby traps or something. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
There you go. Lots of very, familiar plot points, storylines. And it's just, or like an old Western. Sometimes in the Westerns, the people of named small town in Texas had to, find some common ground with Native Americans, or, come to peace.
Or Three Amigos, where they had to
Three Amigos, yeah.
Yeah.
The people of Santa Poco. There you go.
Is that what I'm thinking of? I don't know what movie I'm thinking of, but yeah, I know what you mean.
No,
So Guapo is a big, dangerous man who wants to kill us. Yeah.
I've heard some people say that it's, very, even though it's not two groups, but like Magnificent Seven Western, which kind of plays off the Kurosawa films of, just having to protect the town and come in and build these things to stop an invading force, or in this case, the monster. So I agree. That's definitely a very familiar theme that happens a lot, and I feel like there is a movie you're talking about too, but I can't quite place it. Yeah.
It feels so familiar. It just feels like these are the very same beats, like the same steps we've walked before with another film. So yeah, it's gonna take some time for me to like figure it out, but very familiar themes, very familiar just beats across this whole episode.
Yeah.
Let's get to the grand finale, shall we? Mando takes off with Boa's old armor on his bike. Very little for Baby Yoda to do in this episode. That's right, JC. I said Baby Yoda.
He's just watching.
And
JC, why do you not like Baby Yoda?
It's the child. That's why it's not. It's called the child. That's just my thing. My nerd moment. I got a freaking pop there. It says the child. It's not.
He doesn't like to have fun like the rest of us.
I got a pop right there.
It's
He's
not a
right
big
there
deal. My
behind
thing
you.
is,
You can
it's
see him
the
right
child.
there.
So yeah. So
Joe's got it too.
Right. So we didn't see much of Baby Yoda.
Not much. I mean, we saw a little bit, but he didn't do much.
No, yeah,
He just looked cute.
His powers, yeah.
Cooed every now and then.
He was like the office shot. It was just it's the reaction shot they would go to him when stuff was going on. He was just like a Jim in the office, like.
And I'm like, he could have helped out with the crate dragon a little bit.
I thought he was for a while. They showed him at one point. He was scared of it. You can kind of tell that.
There you go.
Scared of it, but I really felt at one point he was gonna, pull out the hand again. But
he probably could have killed it by himself, like expand his jaws a little wide, and then it would have been it.
What do we really know about that crate dragon? Though,
Mando's taking off into the distance on a speeder bike. We got the double suns setting in the distance, and wouldn't you know it, we have a shadowy figure along the hillside overlooking Mando on his speeder, and fans rejoiced around the world as we've all come to the conclusion that this is actually Boba Fett, alive and mostly well. He has some scars on his face, but he has a Tusken weapon. He has a very familiar rifle of his, and he's also wearing a dark cloak. Let's rewind a little bit to season 1 of Mandalorian, especially our review of season 1. At the end of the season, I said, I am not convinced that the stranger at the end of episode 5 that came across Ming-Na Wen's character that they killed off way too soon, I was not convinced that was revealed, because it hadn't been revealed in any sort of particular way. It wasn't Giancarlo Esposito's character. It wasn't anyone else. I was like, I'm not sold that that's a mystery that's been solved yet. I am now 99% sure that character was Boba Fett. And so when fans were even speculating, is it Boba? Is it Boba? And you're just like, shut up. No, of course it's not Boba. It was freaking Boba. The dark
I think I had
cloak
said
is
it too
there.
when we talked about it too. Like that has to be Boba.
It was Boba.
Yeah.
He's wearing the dark cloak. You heard the spurs at the end of episode 5. And if you listen really closely, he takes like roughly 4 or 5 steps at the end of chapter 9. There's a couple of steps that include the clinging of spurs. So they showed us before they showed us.
It was the plan all along. Great writing.
Man.
Yeah.
One
They've
thing
known
though
for a
that we
long
didn't
time.
talk about is the crate dragon. One of the Easter eggs that they had is you see one of the sand people. What they're looking for in the crate dragon is the pearl, and at the end of the episode, they're holding up the pearl. And not only that, that's the jewel that they wanted, because they said they would leave the town alone as long as they would leave them the carcass. They wanted the jewel. They wanted the little pearl, not the little pearl, but the big pearl that was in the crate dragon. And then you see everybody harvesting the meat, and even Mando, he's putting some up. I'm like, dude.
I was like, all right, these guys are about to barbecue, man.
Yeah.
That's what, as soon as that happened, I was like,
That's some prime rib right there.
Yeah, I know, man.
Some prime meat right
I was
there.
ready to fire up my grill, start throwing some of that on there too.
The child was ready to throw down on that too.
Oh yeah. So
All right, so what did y'all think of the Boba Fett reveal? Mike, let's start with you.
No, I liked it. Like it's to connect it to wrestling. It's like the logo's on at the end of the show, and you think it's done, and there's that one last little, thing they brought out. So you see the sun, and my focus at that scene was, okay, I know it's Tatooine. I'm waiting for that second sun to come into view, and I think they did that on purpose to kind of lull you to sleep. And then, bam, he's just standing there, and he turns around, and you see that that familiar face from the episodes 1, 2, and 3. That same
2 and 3, yeah.
Yeah. Who played Jango Fett, but of course Boba Fett is supposed to be a clone from that. So no, I liked it, and I look forward to this season. How much of that continues as just kind of a storyline in the background that they come back to, or does Boba play a bigger role affecting Mando as he goes searching for, because you remember Mando's whole job is to find Mandalorians, but he's trying to get the child back to Jedi's, which he doesn't know about. That's what he was tasked with at the end of season 1. So because obviously Boba knows about Jedi's, does he try to interfere with that when he finds out, or how big does that play going down the line?
And has Boba seen the child? Does he realize that it's
well, did he ever see Yoda
as a kid? Well, I'm trying to remember if he in episode 2. I don't know if he saw in episode 2 when they attacked the execution, because that's where he saw his father die.
Might have seen it in the
yeah. No, Yoda wasn't there until he brought the troops in to save the Jedi, and then when they leave, Boba goes down and holds his father's head. So I don't think he ever had a run-in directly with Yoda. Yeah, but I'm sure he's familiar with the race. He's got a hate for the Jedi. So if he sees a Force wielder, he's gonna know. So
yeah, Boba is not too fond of Jedi whatsoever. They killed his dad, and then he was pretty much killed by Luke, or almost killed by Luke.
Yeah.
So we thought. So if anybody has a grudge against Jedi, it's definitely Boba. How that plays into the story, you know what? I'm actually gonna say I'm not expecting a lot from Boba right now. I think this is a great tease. It kind of feels like a Thanos tease to me. We get him at the end of Avengers, but the best is yet to come. So I don't think we're going to see him anytime really soon.
Yeah.
We'll probably get off Tatooine real soon, or see Boba like further down the road. But I'm just glad that they brought him out. That just solidifies so much. That just proves to you that Star Wars can do anything. Darth Maul was dead. We got him back later on. Spoiler alert. Boba was dead. We got him back later on. The Senator Palpatine was dead, and we got him back later on.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3.
Like we told you before, go watch the WrestleCast this week, because at the end we start comparing the different eras of wrestling to the different eras of Star Wars, and it all makes sense. Believe me.
I was gonna
Joe,
ask.
what else did you think about Boba, Joe?
This is a thing with Boba, though. He's a clone. What's the life expectancy of a clone? And he was cloned as a child, though. That was a difference.
He was cloned, but they didn't accelerate his growth. This was the one clone. He said, let him grow normally so I can raise him as my son. So, So my thought is he'd have the same life expectancy as his father, the person who's cloned after. So
true.
Yeah. My whole thing with Boba in this whole Mandalorian is, it looks like if he did come across the body, as we saw in season 1, in episode 5, he was the dark hooded figure that came across that body. Is he still bounty hunting? Because a lot of these, I guess when they're cashing in on these bounties, it's either dead or alive. They get proof of the body that's dead. He came across a high value target. He's going to show that, hey, I went ahead and killed this target. I'm still going to get paid. Then we see him from afar observing what happened, with Mando, and he's taking off. and then he turns away. Maybe there's still a hit. I would assume that there's still a hit out on Mando and the child. I mean, they're high value targets. So maybe he's tracking.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still bounty hunting. Maybe he's tracking. And this isn't going to be the last we see of Boba. He's going to come back. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I believe so too. I definitely do. Very exciting stuff. JC, anything else on Boba?
I'm curious if he's going to don the helmet again. But then if he was a true Mandalorian, because the rule was once you take your helmet off, you can never put it back on. So, how is that going to play out? That's my thought. Is he trying to get his armor back? And if Mando leaves Tatooine, is Boba going to hunt him down? Yeah, that's the chase. I think that's going to be a big theme of the season. So, in typical Empire Strikes Back fashion, I could very well see Boba Fett having the upper hand when this season is over. The bad guys always seem to win the sequel.
What if he takes the child, JC?
Trilogy. That's what I'm thinking.
Wow.
We may see this. Yeah.
I like that.
Which is something I said in our last episode or the episode prior. There's a lot of shots with Mando, not with Baby Yoda in the trailers that we've seen. So at some point, I think he's on a rescue mission to get him back. So Boba could definitely be that individual that gets the upper hand.
How badass would it be to see Boba ambush Mando in space using none other than Slave One?
That would be awesome.
That would be
dope.
Freaking awesome.
I mean, we saw that scene in the trailer where Mando's ship is like spark. It's about to break apart as it's orbiting a planet. So it's possible. It's I said maybe they were going to show everything in the trailer was just episode 1, but I think that the biggest scene we got out of the trailers was the Fight Club scene. We didn't get. I mean, they've done a great job of hiding what the season's going to be about. So let's wait and see things.
I'm along for the ride, just like everybody else. I'm excited. Can't wait for episode 2 of season 2.
Man, I hope they keep the energy and the excitement level this high the rest of the season. It's got to be something difficult. It's got to be a challenge to do it. But if anybody could, it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Yep.
They have all the confidence for me. Are you guys ready for the biggest Easter egg that might have been in this episode?
Oh, I think I know what it is, but let's see.
All right. It was surprising to me that Cobb Vanth used a targeting system and launched a missile from the armor of Boba Fett, from the backpack. Because we've never really seen that before. Now, why do I call that an Easter egg? Well, it just so happens that the most rarest Star Wars toy in history happens to be a rare, unpainted prototype of a rocket-firing Boba Fett action figure. This action figure, back in the 60s, I'm sure, or the 70s, had a rocket that actually fired. It was spring-activated back when we had those things. We don't really have those anymore. So a spring-activated rocket would come out from the backpack. But they thought it was so dangerous that they stopped and halted production on this action figure. And it was only a prototype, by the way. So they never put it out to production. It's the most rarest toy, Star Wars toy in the world. Just so happens that one was sold earlier this summer for $225,000.
Damn, so, I didn't know you had that kind of money. So you've been holding out on this here.
Dude, if I could get, oh gosh, that's like the holy grail of all toys.
It's going in a safe deposit box if you ever get your hand on one of those, man. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lasers, sharks, like everything. Anyways.
Indiana Jones, Bobby Traps.
I think that was the biggest Easter egg, is actually seeing that rocket mechanism actually being put into use, because we've never seen it, and that just so happens that the only Boba Fett toy, or the most rarest toy, happens to be that Boba Fett rocket firing action figure. So bravo, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau. You just putting smiles on my faces throughout the entire episode, man. Like, oh my god, this is so cool.
I wonder if Jon Favreau had one of those as a kid, and this was a subtle way to say, "Hey, boom, I had one of these as a kid, so I'm just going to show it off right now in my live action series."
Same videos, Ted. I saw something about that
Pretty
over
cool.
No videos for me. That was just like, oh my god, that rocket actually fires. We've never seen that happen before.
Yeah.
And who knew that the stupid antenna that was always there would just come down, and that's his little targeting system.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
You
the
know,
reason why I know about the rare toy is because there is a documentary on Netflix, I believe.
Made Us?
Huh?
The Toys That Made Us or something like that?
It might be that one where they talk to
Yeah.
a guy who has like his house has like a Star Wars museum, and I believe that fool has like 2 of those. So that guy
Jesus
has like
Christ.
almost $500,000 worth of Star Wars memorabilia just with those
just
two
those two, yeah.
like 4-inch action figures. Insane.
You know, one of the things that this episode missed because they were on Tatooine, the iconic Cantina music, dude. We didn't hear any of that music. I would have loved to hear the little jingle. Dun, 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 dun.
Patience.
Yeah.
We got kind of a hint of that in the first season, didn't we?
Yeah.
They went to the cantina. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They actually said they didn't want to overdo it, so that's why they left the music out.
I
So I'm like, I'm good with it.
of getting enough references and stuff without going overboard with stuff like that. I think they've done really good in the first season and this
Oh, yeah.
So
Yep.
So good. So good. Mandalorian is back. Baby Yoda is back. Star
child.
Wars, the franchise.
The child.
It's a child, damn it, the child. Yeah.
Star Wars is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Animaniacs is returning soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Very soon.
I
But
can't wait for them
it's
to do a
clear-
spoof on Star Wars Animaniacs. I want to see that.
Oh,
Oh
that'd be gold.
man, at some point the Animaniacs, maybe not this season, but the next has to take on the pandemic. I'm curious to see
Oh
what they're
my
going to do with that.
god.
It won't be South Park, but it'll be funny. They find a way to break the fourth wall in a lot of things.
They'll probably have Pinky
So-
and the Brain starting the whole thing.
Oh my god.
They knock over some test tubes
Oh,
or
Lord.
something and it mixes together.
I mean, The Simpsons already predicted it years ago. They predicted everything, right? Mike's a huge Simpsons buff, so he's seen all this coming just from watching Simpsons throughout the years. you know,
Oh
so-
god. My kids were watching the
Yeah.
Treehouse of Horror. They had like a marathon and they were watching all of them.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
Those
on
are- yeah,
FX or
those are
something.
fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Disney Plus has the Treehouse of Horror like channel. You can just
Yeah.
watch
Mhm.
all the Treehouse of Horror episodes back to back. So that's awesome. All right, and that'll do it for this episode of the Countdown City Geekcast. It was a fun one, let me tell you. Mandalorian is back. Baby Yoda is back. Star Wars is back. It's very exciting to be a Star Wars fan again. We want to hear from you. What did you think about the episode? What do you expect for future episodes of The Mandalorian? Real quick before we finish, we had lots of comments about Timothy Oliphant's character Cobb Vanth. On Facebook, Nicholas wrote, like how they picked him to play the Marshal. He acted exactly like Raylan Givens, especially in the bar scene when he shot everyone. I hope he's a reoccurring character and not somehow that they will just throw away. I hope so too. Don't pull a Ming-Na Wen with this guy. He needs to be back. Richard Redding, top fan Richard Redding, wrote, he was made for the Star Wars universe. Completely agree. Dorlav wrote, great story with the surprise at the end. Dustin Davies just did a heart emoji. Loved the entire thing. John Wicker wrote, plays also a Marshal on the new season of Fargo. I didn't know he was in the new season of Fargo.
Wow.
That's a lot of people in the upcoming season of Fargo. That's pretty awesome. Aaron wrote, excellent. And then on, let's see here. And then the comments on Instagram, one Miso said, I've always been a fan of his, even though I feel like he always plays the same role. He's just really good at it. I haven't seen him in a while. I got excited when I saw him. Didn't know he was going to be in this show. He did an awesome job. Can't wait to see more of him. And Outlaw Bishop, aka Tyler, who's our resident local Red Hood cosplayer, says nobody plays the Western backwater town lawman than my boy Timothy Oliphant. Completely agree. Oh man, it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan again.
Does Mando at the end of the season call him back to be on his team like he did in season 1?
Please,
Maybe.
please.
This is a hell of a social networking thing that he's got there. You know, he's making friends all over the galaxy. He's got hookups wherever he goes. You know, it's kind of
bring back Carano and what was Carl Weathers?
I forget his name, but yeah, I mean, we've seen him in the trailer, so I assume they're gonna be along for the ride, obviously. So yeah,
Bring them all back. It's gonna be a reunion, folks. It's gonna be good. Can't wait to see what happens this Friday for the next episode. All right. For the countdown to the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as JC.
Thanks for watching and listening. And of course, we just celebrated Dia de los Muertos here, November 2nd. I'm sure all you Marvel fans had a picture of Black Widow on your ofrenda. But I also wanted to say rest in peace to the greatest James Bond of all time, Sean Connery. I was sad to get the news, but in pure Bond fashion, he passed away in his sleep in the Bahamas. I think that's how James Bond would definitely go out. So rest in peace, Sir Sean Connery. You will definitely be missed.
We also have the man behind the magic, Joe Garcia. Also call out your favorite Sean Connery film.
Oh, man. I can't even begin to tell you, but my favorite one was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Very nice. Very nice.
Gotta say.
And on loan from the countdown to the WrestleCast, the one and only Mike.
Mike, and as I always say over there, guys, be good to each other.
Especially this week.
And favorite Sean Connery film, Mike?
I was going to go Last Crusade too, but there's also the one where he's like a thief with, what's her name? And there's the iconic shot of her going under the screen.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Catherine Zeta-Jones, yeah.
So not a great movie, but he got to see that, so that was pretty cool.
Older Connery, The Rock is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Favorite.
I was going to call it out.
Favorite Bond film is You Only Live Twice. That is my favorite Bond film, and yeah, I love that one. So
very nice. And I'll also say my favorite Connery film is The Rock. Just so good in that one.
Losers whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Best line of that whole movie. Thank you, Sean. This one's to you.
Rest in peace. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Peace.
Hey guys, Agent Ivan here. For more Geekcast episodes, subscribe to us on your podcast app and please write us a review. Be sure to like us at Facebook at facebook.com/CountdownCityGeekcast. Follow us on Twitter at ccg_podcast or visit our website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. See you later, guys.